There have been seasons in my life where I genuinely believed that if I could just get everything under control, I'd finally have some peace for myself. Like, if I could fix my finances, if I could resolve the conflicts that I've been going through, if I could grow this channel, if I could just become more disciplined in my life, then finally I'd have some peace. But every time I solved one problem, another one just took its place. It felt like life was asking me to juggle more and more things, hoping that maybe one day I'd get ahead. Maybe you felt that too. That's why I decided to come back to the story of Martha and Mary in Luke chapter 10. Most of us already know what we're supposed to see. Martha is busy. Mary is sitting at Jesus' feet. So we assume that Jesus is saying, spend less time working and more time praying. Now, I'm not going to lie, there's some certain truth to that. But when I slow down and just let the passage speak for itself, I noticed something that I felt like I missed for years. Jesus never tells Martha to stop serving. In fact, he never criticizes her hospitality at all. Instead, he says, Martha, Martha, thou art careful and troubled about many things. Jesus doesn't identify her problem as serving. He identifies her problem as being troubled about the many. Only after naming the many does he say one thing is needful. That order changes the entire passage. The issue isn't that Martha has responsibilities. The issue is that the responsibilities have become her center. And once that happens, something fascinating begins to unfold. We're looking at the same house, the same Jesus, the same sister. Nothing around Martha changes. Yet suddenly, Mary looks neglectful. Jesus seems unconcerned. Martha feels abandoned. Martha's perception changes before her circumstances do. And I couldn't help asking myself, how often have I done exactly the same thing? I've had moments where I became so consumed by what needed fixing that everything else started getting interpreted through that lens. People who care about me suddenly felt like obstacles to me. Tiny, small problems suddenly felt ginormous. Even God seemed distant. Looking back, I don't think the world had really changed. The center I was living from had. Then Jesus says something that completely reframed the passage for me. One thing is needful. Notice what he doesn't say. He doesn't say the many don't matter. The meal still needs preparing. The guest still needs to be fed. Life still has responsibilities. The many are real, but they were never meant to become the center. That's what I think this passage particularly quietly reveals. The one doesn't eliminate the many. The one orders the many. And I started seeing that pattern everywhere in Scripture. Noah finds grace before obedience. The branch receives life before bearing fruit. Again and again, Scripture begins with what God gives before it speaks about what people do. Gotta get some water. Luke isn't changing that movement. It's continuing it. The one comes before the many. that made me ask a much more personal question. What have I been asking the many to give me? Identity? Peace? Security? Control? Achievement? Maybe that's why we become exhausted. Not because life contains too many responsibilities, but because we're asking our responsibilities to carry a weight that they were never meant to bear. They were never created to bear. Work was never meant to tell you who you are. Success was never meant to become your peace. Recognition was never meant to become your belonging. Control was never meant to become your security. Oh boy, don't we like to control things. The many make terrible centers. Jesus doesn't tell Martha to abandon her responsibilities. He calls her back to the place from which those responsibilities finally make sense. And I love that. Because it means the invitation isn't to escape ordinary life. It's to return to the center from which ordinary life can finally be lived. Let's get something clear. Your calendar may not change tomorrow. Your bills may still be there. The hard conversations may still need to happen. Those responsibilities are still waiting for you. But you no longer have to ask them to carry your life. Maybe that's the quiet invitation hidden inside Luke 10. Not to master the many, but to remain rooted in the one from whom the many receive their proper place. Now, if you're walking through a difficult season or any situation, and you'd like me to look at it through the hidden gospel lens, there's a link in the description where you can request a private written reflection. If this passage helped you see Luke 10 differently, I would genuinely love to hear what stood out to you the most. Please leave a comment below. I read every single one of them. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Every week, we slow it down, we pay careful attention to Scripture, and discover what God has been quietly saying all along. Until next time, grace and peace.